Are we good with the push-pull tool? Okay. The next ones we're going to look at are kind of your camera tools, being able to orbit and kind of pan around your model. Maybe I should have started this one first because I've been orbiting around as I'm showing you these other tools, but it's okay, we're here now. So these are orbit, pan, and zoom that we're going to look at next. So if you wanted them up in your menu bar, they'll actually be under the camera tab. But they should also all be tools here on your tool set as well. The orbit looks like a line with an arrow going around it. Pan looks like a little hand with arrows going left and right. And then zoom looks like a magnifying glass. So these tools are there to help you navigate through your model, allowing you to view the model a little bit differently. So let's start with the orbit tool. So you could either click on the orbit tool up here, and then you can just click and drag to start orbiting yourself around the model. Clicking and dragging, moving myself all around. What I like to do, and kind of your hotkey for orbit, you can press and hold the scroll wheel on your mouse. And so that you'll be able to orbit around, just press and hold that. Sometimes that's nice because I'll be in the middle of doing something, I want to move around, rather than stopping what I'm doing, going and grabbing the orbiting tool, orbiting around, I can just hold that scroll wheel and move myself around. You can get all around the place, make sure that you're seeing your model nicely all around. What you can also do is pan. So you can either grab pan up here, and what it does is just kind of moves you left and right, panning throughout your model. Or for that, you can press and hold the scroll wheel and also hold down Shift. And that will start to give you the pan as well. And you can also see whenever you're on orbit, in the lower left, it tells you, if you hold down Shift, that'll give you pan. So SketchUp's trying to help you figure out what you're doing here. And then we also have zoom, the magnifying glass. Unfortunately, I don't think you can do it with the mouse, so its hotkey is Z. So with this, you can click and drag up to zoom in, and then drag down the screen to zoom out. It'll zoom you towards the center of your screen. And then right next to the zoom tool is zoom extents. It's the magnifying glass with the arrows coming out of it. That will just kind of bring your screen to show your entire model. So let's say you're really working hard in here and then you accidentally get lost and you're like, oh my gosh, where am I? I don't know. Click on that zoom extents, boom, shows you the entire model, you're back where you were. So that's really helpful if you get lost. Just click on that zoom extents and it'll take you back to an overall view. Zoom extents hotkey is Z plus Shift. Is that working? Yeah, that did work, okay. Go back in here, boom, boom, boom. Z Shift at the same time, just click them. That also gives you the zoom extents, takes you out.
Wait, how did you get out of the zoom extent? Just work back up there.
I'm sorry?
How did you get out of the zoom extent?
So the zoom extent helps you come back to the main view. So if I accidentally scrolled way too far in here and I'm lost, I hit the zoom extents to take me back to the overall view. Does that answer your question?
Well, I hit zoom extent and it made everything bigger, but then how do I go back, like erase zoom extent?
You can just scroll in and out or orbit yourself around. Yeah. There's not really an undo for zoom extents.
Okay.
One other way that we're going to look at being able to manipulate the view of your model today is by changing the projection. So right now we've been looking at everything just in a perspective view. So if we go up to camera, you'll see that perspective is checked, but we also have options for 2-point perspective and parallel projection. So if I do the 2-point perspective, that kind of changes my view to now I have those 2 points going back into space. Do note if you start to orbit, that'll automatically take you back to the normal perspective, so that's a little bit irritating. If you were wanting to stay in that 2-point perspective, but if you're just trying to set up a nice shot of maybe a corner of your model, you can do that 2-point perspective. The other one was back up to camera. If we did parallel projection, this gives you more of a 2-dimensional view. And so parallel projection is what we're going to use to create plans, elevations, sections. It makes it so that you don't see the depth behind you. So we'll look at that. So if I go back to camera, if we are looking at trying to get just those top-down views or those side views, getting those 2-dimensional drawings, if I go back to camera and I go hover over standard views, it gives you top, bottom, front, back, left. Those are the different sides that you can view your model from. So if I click on top, that takes me to a top view of my model, and you can see that it's 2-dimensional. I'm not seeing any of the depth of my cube. If I took it back to the perspective view, you can see it looks a little bit different. Maybe I accidentally don't quite get it all the way to the top. You can start to see some of the depth. So those standard views are really helpful to make sure that you are indeed completely in that orthogonal view. With your parallel projection on, that's going to give you the most 2-dimensional view of your model. You can also add those standard views to your toolbar so that you can just easily click on the top, front, left, right, whatever. Just go back to that view and toolbars. That's always how you're going to be able to add new tool icons to your space. And for this one, I believe it's just called views here. Yes, I checkmarked that, and then these new icons showed up for me here. So those are my top, front, right, left, all those good things. And I can customize my space. I want them all in one line, so I just dragged those to all be in one line. So now if I just click on these, it'll automatically take me to that side view, or that front view, top view, whatever I'm looking at. So you might not need those necessarily quite yet, but we will later in the semester when we start to create plans and elevations and all those good things of our view of our model. Yeah.
Do you mind if I add something that's going back to the pan, zoom, and
Yeah.
any, let's see, the pan, the
Orbit,
the orbit.
Yeah.
Okay. I was just gonna say, well, right now when you're doing something simple like that, it may not matter, but it matters. It will matter when you're getting into something more difficult or more. There's more pieces to it, and it matters where you put your pan or your cursor. Thank you. Where you want it to go, because if you were to say you just start to pan right here, it's maybe you might want to show them.
Yeah, that's true. Right, I can only move so much if I started my pan right at the top here. If I'm actually through it, then I can start to get into a little bit more.
And sometimes when
Okay.
sorry,
No, please.
teaching her, but when I want to get into somewhere in Zoom, I hit the Z and I zoom into it and see where I have it is like located in here. Say I needed to get in, I don't know. But if I hit it right over here, can you see it just went off the edge, so it matters where you place your cursor.
Yes. Yes, it's gonna
That's
scroll
my-
into
sorry,
that
my-
person. No, really great point.
And actually, a lot of the programs are like that. CAD are, well, a lot, actually, I guess CAD is the main one. It's all that we do, yeah. I don't know, I don't know about Photoshop or any of those. I can't remember. If it matters, I can't remember. It matters, yeah.
Wonderful.
This is true, yes, it does. Yes. I haven't done it for a while, so.
Okay. Last tool we're gonna use before we get into today's actual assignment. We're gonna go with the move tool. So the move tool, you guessed it, it moves geometry and relocates it to wherever you want it to go. I'm gonna get rid of this other rectangle down here, so I'm dragging my selection window. I'm just gonna hit delete to get rid of those things.
Oh, so you had to hit select first?
Yes. Or your spacebar. So the move tool, we talked about push-pull was an auto-select tool, so you didn't have to go and select things before you used it. The move tool does not work like that, unfortunately. You do have to go and select your geometry before you're able to move it. You'll see the move tool kind of does it, but it's only gonna let you move like the one thing that it's hovering over. So if I wanna move my entire cube, well, if I don't select the entire cube, it's only gonna try and move this one face, but that's not working for me. I wanna move the entire cube. So I have to first select the entire cube. We know all of our different options now for selecting. I can either do my selection windows, use those shift or control keys to add, or I can triple click and grab the entire thing. Up to you, however you find it easiest to select your object. But now I have the entire thing selected, I'm ready to use the move tool. The move tool looks like the 4 arrows going in kind of the cardinal directions, or you can hit M on your keyboard to activate that move tool. And then you just click, start to move it in the direction you want to go, and click to release it. Now, another thing, kind of going off what Amy talked about, it does kind of matter where you start your cursor. I can just click anywhere and start to move it, but if I want to be really exact, let's say that I want to move my, this back corner of my rectangle, I want it to be on this point of this line. That's going to be really hard to do if I click on some random point in space and try to get it there. It's probably not going to work very well for you. So if you're trying to move it very exactly, I would go in there, grab that corner, it showed up green, SketchUp's telling me, yes, I have the end point. I click it, and I'm just clicking, I'm not dragging, and then I can come over to this point. Again, SketchUp will snap, telling me when I found the end point, and then I can click to finish it, and now I know that it is exactly in the point that I want it to be. So if you don't hear where it's moving to, by all means, go grab some random place on the workspace, but typically, you want it to be pretty exact. Now, we can also type in a certain dimension to be able to move it. So, I'm going to click, start moving it in the direction that I want it to go, and again, it's going to tell me if I'm going straight, it's snapping to my red axis here as I'm moving it. It's hard to see now that I'm actually on the axis, but even if I started over here, you can see that my line is red, it's still telling me I'm on the red axis. If I'm not on axis, the line turns black, and then it's kind of just a free-for-all. So if you want to be nice and exact on that red axis, make sure that your inference engine is helping you out there. Alright, I did not drag, I just clicked, and I'm starting to move my mouse in the direction that I want it to go. We're going to go with our 5 feet here. So I'll type in 5 feet, enter. Oh, that went really far. And there it is, it moved my 5 feet away that I wanted it to. One last thing to point out before we get into our assignment is the escape key. The escape key gets you out of any operation that you're currently doing. Let's say that I started to move my cube here and then I'm like, oh man, this is not what I wanted to do. I don't want to do this anymore. Just hit escape. It'll go back to where it was. That'll work with any operation. If I'm using the push-pull, pulling this a little bit further, oh, nope, I didn't want to do that, hit escape. It's going to bounce back to where it was. Okay. Are we ready to move on to our assignment? Ready. Cool. Okay, exercise 1. So we're going to get to try out all of those tools that we just worked on. I'm going to put the assignment up on my other screen too, so that I can follow along here as I'm doing it without bouncing back and forth a bunch. Models. Okay. So step 1, it says to create a new file and choose one of the default templates. You can create a new one here if you want, or just get rid of what you've got and start in this one. It doesn't matter. If you want to start a new model, you can go to File and New, but do be aware that it's going to make you either save or get rid of whatever model is currently open. It won't let you have 2 models open at the same time. If you ever do need 2 models open at the same time, you're going to have to launch a new window of SketchUp by, maybe going down here, right-clicking and creating a new SketchUp application window. But if I went up here and just hit File, New, it's asking me, do I want to save changes to the current model that's there? So we can't switch back and forth between 2 models within the same SketchUp window. So I'm just going to say no. I'll go ahead and grab a new one. And you'll see my scale model is back because I'm back to the default template that I originally started with. What's the first thing I'm going to do? Get rid of that scale model because it drives me nuts. I don't like it.
Oh, we don't need to have it on there?
I mean, you can keep it. I'm not going to take points off if you start
Oh,
on there,
okay.
but I don't like it. It gets in my way. It's also kind of creepy. If you move around, it always faces you.
Oh, yeah.
With the moving eyes.
How do you get rid of it?
So yeah,
Delete it?
I don't like it.
Highlight it and delete it.
Okay, so we've got our new file pulled up. Step 2, activate the rectangle tool. You can hit R on your keyboard. Starting at the origin, that's the place where all of the axes come together. You see that inference engine's telling you when you're hovered over the origin. Draw a rectangle that is 5 foot long along the red axis by 3 foot along the green axis in the positive directions. So remember, the positive directions are where the axes are solid. So I click to start my rectangle, move my mouse in the positive directions, and then type in 5 feet, comma, 3 feet. Enter. Now automatically snap to that 5 foot by 3 feet. Next, we activate the push-pull tool. Step 3, hit P on your keyboard and extrude the rectangle along the blue axis by 4 feet in the positive direction. So positive for the blue axis is up. So with the push-pull tool, I don't need to select my face first. I can just have the push-pull tool activated, click on that surface, start to move my cursor up, and then type in my 4 feet, enter.
I don't know what I did. I'm like flip-flop here.
Okay, so the question was, how do I confirm that my rectangle is indeed the dimensions that I input? We didn't learn this tool yet, but we can go ahead and learn it. The measurement tool. It looks like tape measure. I think T is the hotkey for that. Your cursor will turn into a little tape measure guy. You go ahead and click at your endpoint. And then go ahead and click your other endpoint. If you just hover, it'll tell you that little dialog box comes up and confirms for you that it is indeed the 5 feet. but it also tells you down in your measurement box that you did just measure 5 feet. And then if I click on these endpoints, clicking once, and either hover over that endpoint and it tells you 3 feet.
So what,
So I must have not put it on the right axis or something. Maybe.
what I was looking at, I'm sorry,
no,
no, this
you're
is the
fine.
red, okay.
So a line.
Okay, let me redo the push-pull that I just undid.
So,
So I'm hitting P for that push-pull, grabbing my surface, typing my 4 feet, and enter to get back to where we were.
4 feet.
That was completing step 3. Yes, on the
Okay.
feet.
Thank you, I'm behind.
You're good. Okay, we're on step number 4. Select your cube, because we're going to use the move tool next, and so we have to select the cube to be able to use the move tool. So, however you want to select it, make sure you've got everything selected there. And then activate the move tool, and click M on your keyboard. And we're going to move the cube 8 feet along the red axis in a positive direction, so along the solid red axis. For this one, since I'm not moving to a specific point, I'm just going to type in the dimension. I could just click anywhere to start that move. I think it's just best practice to go ahead and define a nice starting point so that, whenever you do want to go place it on a specific point, just good practice to get in the habit of making your clicks very exact. So I'm just going to go ahead and start on one of these endpoints here. I am clicking, not dragging, moving my mouse in the direction that I want to move. Make sure that you are indeed straight on that red axis. And then type 8 feet, enter. And then if we did want to confirm that we did indeed move the 8 feet, hit that T for tape measure, start at your origin, click there, and then go find that next point, and it is exactly 8 feet.
Like 8 inches.
Okay, step 5. Activate the rectangle tool. That is R. Starting at origin, draw a rectangle that is 3 feet on the red axis by 5 feet along the green axis. So we're just gonna create the same rectangle but going in the different directions this time. So I'm back to the origin. I'm clicking on the origin with my rectangle tool, starting to move my cursor outward in the direction that I want my rectangle to go. And we type the red axis first. So I'm typing 3 feet, comma, 5 feet, enter. And then number 6, we're going to activate the push-pull tool, hit P on your keyboard, and we're going to extrude this rectangle along the blue axis by 8 feet in the positive direction. So, push-pull is auto-select. I don't need to select that surface first, so I can just click on my surface, pull my mouse upward, I'm not dragging, type in your 8 feet, enter, nice and tall. And there it is. That's the whole assignment. Create 2
Oh, wow.
cubes. Keep it nice and easy for your first week.
All that stress.
Yeah. Alright, and then you're gonna save your file as your first initial last name underscore ex1 for exercise 1. That's in the Canvas assignment for how to name it. And then submit your SketchUp file to this Canvas assignment. And then I always put a note under there, do not save your work to the computer here. You can save it there temporarily, but then make sure that you do save a copy to your flash drive, Google Drive, whatever it may be. So, to save, we go up to File, Save, put it on your desktop or wherever temporarily. First initial, last name, underscore, EX1. And you can see it saving as a SketchUp model, that .skp, save. And then go upload it. Look at it as a student. So it looks like what you see. You need to start assignment. You can just go ahead and upload a file. You'll upload that SketchUp file directly to the assignment. If you do save it on Google Drive, it looks like you can connect your Google Drive also so that you can save your assignment to Google Drive and then upload from there. That's kind of a nice option.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Does everybody know, anyone know how to save to a Google Drive? Anyone don't know?
No.
Is that it?
Yeah, I don't.
Anyone knows how to save to their Google Drive?
Yeah.
You don't know?
I do know.
Oh, you do know, sorry, I didn't clarify. You know?
I may need a refresher.
Okay, just checking to see who all.
I bring my thumb drive.
Wonderful.
Let me get signed into my Google Drive here. Okay, so you can't save directly to your Google Drive from SketchUp, but once you save it, it'll temporarily save it to your Files Explorer. And then once you're in your Google Drive,
No, it's
there should be an upload button. Oh, if you hit that new and then file upload, and then you can go find it on your desktop wherever you saved it,
So, just do.
and it'll upload
I always get it.
to your Google Drive.
Is this if like you have the Google or are you gonna be sending it through the Google Drive?
No, it's just if you don't have a flash drive or
Yeah,
anything like that, Google Drive is helpful, as you can access the file anywhere that you have internet and you can log into your Google Drive, you'll have access to that file. It just saves you a nice copy, since we don't want our work to just be on the desktop of these computers. So it might be a good option for you to save to, or a thumb drive.
For a chat, I think, yeah.